Hello everyone, welcome to Prudent Leadership Forum. Um, I enjoy reading the Word of God, and one of the places I read recently is in Luke chapter 6, verse 39 to, you can read through 42, where Jesus was actually cautioning people about judging others. And in verse 39 of that chapter 6, he told them this parable, and actually it was in a question form, and he asked, can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? He goes in verse 42 with another parable, and he says that the student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Goes on and then to pose another a rhetoric question where he asks, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? And finally, he asks, how can you say to your brother, brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? And of course, he reprimanded people or cautioned them. And here he says, you hypocrite, first take the plank out of your eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So this tells us that Jesus did not say you are condemned in the situation you are in. He was telling people you can come out of that kind of a situation where you judge without information, or you make other people look like they are worse sinners than you are. And what he was just trying to tell the listeners then is that do something first about yourself. Do something about yourself. Take the plank out of your eye, then you'll be able to see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. That means your judgment will actually be proper. You will make the right and the correct judgment if you have dealt with yourself first, to the point that you can be able to see, the errors that are in others. So today we can talk about cultivating self-leadership. So how do we cultivate self-leadership? And in fact, what do we mean by self-leadership? In light of the Word of God that we have read, self-leadership is a phenomenon that concerns an individual's ability to manage personal life. So one can be able to manage their personal lives, and once that is done, then they can be able also to lead others. So self-leadership involves personal initiative, self-drive, innovation, and self-motivation. Those are the components that go into self-leadership. One must be able to have that personal initiative, have self-drive. You should be has also innovation and also self-motivation. So it may not be possible, considering all this, to effectively lead others when one is not able to lead himself. This proves that it's not possible. You cannot be able to lead others when you cannot be able to lead yourself, to manage your own life. And that's why Jesus said you cannot, a blind man cannot be able to lead others who are blind. what happens? They will both fall into a pit, or they will go into self-destruction. So, and when we talk about self-leadership, we are also looking at various other things or elements that are involved in self-leadership. In the leadership context, as we have seen, unless you're able to lead self, or if you are unable to lead yourself, that is an indication that you are unable to lead others. So leading others also carries a strong component of modeling. We need to know that when we talk of leadership, it involves a lot of modeling. And as Bandura says or argues that people normally seek proficient models that possess competences to which they aspire. So if one has to be a proficient model and carrying those kind of competences which people aspire to. And when you talk of modeling, we can also go further and talk about positive modeling. Positive modeling, which is viewed as a primary means by which leaders develop authentic followers, because we learned the other time that you cannot be a leader without followers. And maybe the question will be now, what kind of followers do you have? They must be followers you have developed. And how do you develop authentic followers? You must first be an authentic leader. And the authentic leader exemplifies positive modeling. And so positive modeling is actually evident in a person or in a leader when followers develop trust in that leader. When followers develop trust in the leader or in you as a leader, then that is evident that you are positively modeling. Gardner and others observe that an authentic leader an authentic leader is that leader who is true to core beliefs and values. Authentic leader is true to self, true to core beliefs and values, and also develops his followers or associates until they too become leaders like him. And so to come to the place of authentic followership, we have come from the point of talking about self-leading. So when you are able to lead self, then you are also able to develop followers who are authentic. Going forth, we'll be talking about things like what also makes up or contributes to developing, or into the process, what goes into the process of cultivating self-leadership. One of the elements or the components that go into cultivating self-leadership is things like self-efficacy, which means, and especially strong self-efficacy, develops internal strengths, and those strengths can help a leader to have control over his environment. So, but unfortunately, people avoid environments they have no control over. They would rather avoid, environments that they know they cannot be able to control, but they would rather choose what they can manage. Now, to manage challenging environments, and activities. It shapes one's direction of behavior development. So we should be, or a leader should be able to manage challenging environments and also activities, which has a benefit, and that benefit is that it shapes your direction of behavior development. It will actually shape that direction of how you develop your behavior as a leader. And talking of behavior, behavioral traits in a leader are influenced by, again, a host of factors, including culture and some amount of mentorship the leader is exposed to. The other component that goes into cultivating self-leadership is emotional intelligence. And studies show that emotional intelligence is actually emerging as one of the factors rated high compared to IQ in a leader's effective performance. So Goldman has argued that without emotional intelligence, a person will not make a great leader. And in spite of having the best training and incisive and analytical mind and smart ideas, they will still not be able to make great leaders if they do not have emotional intelligence. And therefore those are the components that go into developing or helping one to cultivate self-leadership. It's the underlying structure on which every other aspect of leadership is built. So self-leadership is key when we talk of leadership. Going forward, we will also go into detail and look at these components of self-efficacy and like locus of control when we'll be discussing the topic of self-mastery. And therefore, today we can pause there and we'll pick it up as we look at how do we handle, or how does self-mastery look like. Have a blessed time until we see you again. Thank you.